Restoration Church. Welcome to House Church Sunday. We're really excited that you're here. All over the valley this morning, we are gathering in people's homes. We're talking about things that matter. We're hopefully having some food and some coffee together. And really the idea is that we would be together and get to know one another in more of an intimate environment. One of the things that we're doing right now as a church is we're going through this series called This Is Us. And one of the things that makes us us is this idea of community, of being together, of really knowing each other and really loving one another well. And so that's what we're hopefully practicing together this morning. Again, all over the valley in different homes, people are going to be meeting together and talking about this topic and hopefully learning together and getting to know one another at a deeper level. So we're excited that you're here. We're excited for this chance to really be together. And we're going to talk about some good stuff this morning. A couple of days ago, I saw this comedian the other day, and he was talking about the difference between 30 years ago in our culture and what happens today. And one of the examples that he used was a doorbell. He said our reaction to a doorbell 30 years ago was radically different than it is today. 30 years ago, the doorbell would ring and everybody would come rushing to the door. We were excited to see who was on the other side. And when we'd get there, the kids would come sliding in, the dog would be barking, the neighbors would be on the front porch, and you'd welcome them in, and there would be cake, and there would be coffee, and there would be catching up, and all this great conversation. And it would last a couple of hours, and then as things wrapped up and you were saying goodbye to them, you would say things like, hey, we'll do this again, and next time we'll come to your house. And they were excited about that, and they actually meant it. He said it's so very different today. Now, like, we shut the lights off, we pretend that we're not home, we're tackling the kids, we're trying to keep the dog quiet. We're just hoping that whoever's on the other side of the door just goes away and doesn't bother us anymore. It's the difference between sort of the Andy Griffith sitting on the front porch, welcoming neighbors, a very common life, and more of an isolated, behind the curtains, don't interrupt me world that we live in now, where our home is sort of a sanctuary from everything out there, and so we retreat to our backyards. In fact, it's a great analogy for how to talk about this transition we've experienced in our culture. We used to be much more of a front porch kind of culture, where we were right out in front, where you met people out front of your house and kids played together. And there's still some places that we can do that in our world. But by and large now, we've moved to the backyard, where our home and our front door has become a wall between us and the outside world. And we only let people in when we choose, when we can control it, when we can clean things up and have a facade that says we have it all together. It's just sort of how our culture operates right now. There's lots of reasons for that. I think part of it is our addiction to tech, that we've moved away from face-to-face relationships to much more of a digital presence. And there's some good in that as well. But by so many measures, the consequences of moving from the front porch to the backyard have been negative. In fact, sociologists and psychologists are telling us now that we have what they call a loneliness epidemic, where people just don't feel known anymore, and they don't feel like they know anybody else. Lots of surface level relationships, but very, very few deep friendships. As a culture, it's like we've sort of chosen privacy over being known and really being understood. We've chosen scheduling and over-scheduling and busyness and all of the stuff that goes with that over any level of margin, any level of making room for life where we have spontaneous interactions with people that last more than 30 seconds. We've chosen busyness. We've chosen scheduling. And then the other thing we've chosen is a veneer that maybe looks nice on the outside, but it's just a veneer. And it masks a whole bunch of stuff that's going on behind the scenes. We've chosen a veneer over authenticity and over intimacy and over really being known. But see, here's where this is really positive, because I think God has designed the church and put the church in the world to be an influence. And I can't think of another group, another organization. I believe that the church is uniquely qualified and uniquely equipped to push back against this tide, against this movement in our culture from the front porch to the backyard. I think that's how we were built. We were designed for relationships, for healthy relationships. In fact, what Jesus said is, look, this is how you're going to be known, for how you love one another, how you build healthy relationships, how you know people and are known by people. We were designed for this. We were made to enter into a culture that doesn't have this figured out and begin to offer much more than what they're settling for right now. We were called to figure this out. So part of why we're doing this morning is because we want to push back against that transition from the front porch to the backyard. We want to model for the world what it looks like to really know each other and be known by each other. And so the question for us this morning, and the question you're going to talk about for the rest of the morning, is how do we do that? Especially in our world, how do we do that well? How do we live a front porch faith in a backyard kind of world? See, one of our values is this idea of inclusive, intentional community. We want to be a front porch kind of church. We want to model for the world what it looks like to be truly open and inviting to people, to be known and to know others. We want to pursue relationships and invite people into that, into a security of really being understood and valued for who they are. And then we want to invite others to a place where they can belong, where they can taste this and see what it looks like to really be loved by others and have a sense of belonging and community. That's what we see in the scriptures. In the book of Acts, the very first descriptions of the church were so profound. It's so profound and so powerful when we read it. This is in Acts 2. It called it the fellowship of the believers. It says, they devoted themselves to the apostles' teaching and to the fellowship, to breaking of bread and to prayer. Everyone was filled with awe, and many wonders and miraculous signs were done by the apostles. All the believers were together and had everything in common. Selling their possessions and goods, they gave to anyone as he had need. Every day they continued to meet together in the temple courts. They broke bread in their homes and ate together with glad and sincere hearts, praising God and enjoying the favor of all the people. And the Lord added to their number daily those who were being saved. And that's a great and powerful description for what it looks like to begin to step into being a community, a real community of people. So we're going to practice that together this morning. We're going to talk about some things, discuss some ideas. The hosts where you are will have some questions, and they'll facilitate through this time together. But more than anything, we just want you to be together, to have fun, to have great conversations, to get to know each other, and begin to practice a little bit of what this inclusive, intentional community looks like. So thank you for being here with us this morning. We're going to turn it over to the site hosts now, and they're going to lead you through these topics. But we're so excited to be a church. Like, this is us. We value community. We value relationships. And so we're excited that you're here. We're excited to be together to talk about this morning. Thank you.